Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Music Man podcast. I'm your host, Joe. That's your host, Ken. We're back for a good show, I think, right?
Yeah, good to see you.
Yeah, it's
Welcome
good to
back.
see you too. And cicadas have come full bloom.
Oh, those stinking cicadas.
Yeah.
They are harmless, but man, oh man, are they offensive. I can't tell you how many times. If I had a dime for every time a cicada has smashed into my face, or exploded on my windshield, or has landed on me, and I've entered a store with the cicada on me. Oh my God.
Yeah. Hey, it's the season of the cicada.
It's a lot. Just the noise, man. Doesn't it, like, you've got them, right?
We have them, but they are officially gone. Not officially gone, but they're pretty much gone at this point.
Oh.
So I don't know if it was just because we had a lot of rain recently and stuff, and then I don't know what happened to them, but they were very loud for about a span of 2 weeks, and then it was not noticeable anymore.
Ugh,
They were right outside the window here, so if I was trying to do recording, I'm like, well, I gotta wait till these things are shut up, so I'd have to wait till night or whatever.
Oh God.
But it's
we
fine.
have our neighbors have a small tree, and there are so many cicadas on that one tree that if you'd have to do a double take because it looks like the bark is moving. Like it's just
That's crazy.
Like squirming. Every inch of the tree is just moving. It's like, ugh.
Yeah, it's gross. It's nasty. All right. Well, I'm glad that we can get together and do another podcast.
Yeah.
Today's podcast, I kind of picked the topic on this one. I thought it was an interesting one because we hear about it all the time. And I think it's important for us to kind of go over it because a lot of us don't know what it is. And I kind of had to look into it, what it was and stuff. So now I want to share the information with our listeners and with you. And we'll try to see if we can make this easier to understand. So, owning your masters, what does it mean? And why is it important?
So the first question.
Well, so let's just start off with the basic here.
Oh, okay.
What is a master recording?
Oh, that was my question.
Was it really?
Yeah.
You're just saying that.
No, I swear to God.
Okay.
I was going to be the butthead devil's advocate and give you a hard time.
No, it's actually a good point. So a master recording is the original recording of a song. It's the most authentic supersonic account of the song. Everything else is just a copy of that after that. So like the 9 Inch Nails song, a copy of a copy of a copy. That's all pretty much after the original master recording. So like you and I hold our masters because we have those original recordings of our songs together, the songs we do on our own.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Okay. So it's like the original file that you made that would subsequently be distributed, and that distribution, whether it's a CD or a streamed or downloaded, those are the copies. But you own that main kahuna.
The main kahuna. And side note of this too, one of the major record labels, there was a fire. I don't remember how long ago it was. It was probably either a few years back or quite a while back.
Oh, yeah.
But they had a fire. Remember they lost all the original masters of the albums that they owned?
Yeah, I don't remember which record label. I don't know if it was like Universal or MGM or UM, the big one basically that owned and warehoused the masters from every single, you name it. Like Sheryl Crow's whole entire discography The masters are completely gone because this warehouse went completely up in flames. I guess
Yeah.
like Guns N' Roses, their masters were destroyed as well,
Wow.
or like
Holy cow.
Appetite were destroyed or something.
Holy cow.
Oh
I
yeah.
didn't know
Oh
all that was.
yes. To you listeners, if you haven't read about this one, see if you can dig and hear about it. This was maybe what, like 5 or 6 years ago, maybe.
Wow, that's crazy. So that's what I was reading about a little bit, was like what happened, and
Yeah.
so anyway,
Yeah.
this is why we're kind of
Yeah.
talking about it though. So just real quick too, we're going to talk about why this is important to own your own masters. And also we're going to talk about the difference between publishing rights and master rights as well, because sometimes people get those two confused. So we're going to kind of
All
go
right.
like real basic here, which for me personally is, I think, worth doing.
Okay.
Um, so next one we're gonna add, and the final thing we'll go into is a story about Taylor Swift with her masters, and just to kind of sum up
Ooh.
everything of why it's kind of important.
Okay.
Um, so I'm gonna try to go through this kind of quick so we can kind of get into like the meat and bones of the good stuff.
Okay.
So why is it important to own your masters? So, as an artist, owning your master recordings grants you the legal rights to fully capitalize on and optimize your revenue opportunities. If it looks like I'm reading, I am reading, because I kind of typed some shit up that I wanted to like say, and I don't want to just go off the cuff. You know what I mean?
And that sounds like what the professional would do. So,
The ownership provides you with complete control over your music, with your master recording, which we just talked about, uh,
yeah.
where you can license it to third parties, such as TV shows, films, commercials, or even sometimes to other artists. So, like co-writes out here and stuff.
Yeah.
However, if someone else, such as a record label, music producer, or sound engineer, owns the master, they have the right to license the recording and collect all the royalties to it. So,
Oh.
owning your masters means you own the copyright in the original sound recording of your music. The copyright of the sound recording is generally owned by the artist or record label that they are signed to. Whoever owns the master recording will earn royalties with the song when the song is played or reproduced, including
Okay.
radio, streaming, and downloads. So that's kind of like the general sum up of why it's important to own your masters, because the revenue coming in from that stuff is basically all going to said label or the producer or whatever that owns
Okay.
those master recordings. Which, not to get too like emotional involved in it, but you and I have talked about this many times, and I've talked to it with some of my other music friends too. Like, record labels are pretty much how I look at them, like a loan. You're borrowing money from a giant record label. In exchange, you're getting their connections and you're getting their ability to navigate the music industry better. I feel like though the problem is that they're in control of the music industry as a whole, which is kind of BS in my opinion. It should be an open forum for people to be able to connect with each other in certain ways. Um,
Yeah.
but they're basically just giving you like a giant loan, and they're keeping a lot of the recording masters. Whether you want to do that or not, because you want that, that's up to you. But many artists are coming out now stating you don't need a record label. All it is a giant loan. But to people that are like you and me who are independent, we kind of value having a connection because that's kind of how you have to break through in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So it feels like there should be a compromise here where it's like if a record label is going to help you, they shouldn't be able to control that much. I also do want to touch on real quick. This is another aspect of owning your recording masters. Let's just say you and I co-write a song, and that song gets picked up by a major artist, like the Black Crowes pick it up. Um, the record industry doesn't like calling it a percentage; they call it based off points, and this goes
Okay.
hand in hand with like recording masters. So let's say you and I write this song and we co-write it, and the record label's like, we like that song. We want to use that for our major artist. We're going to give you 2 points towards the revenue of what this song will pull in. Now, what they don't tell you is the artist that is using the song potentially makes probably like 40 points. The record label makes the most amount. They probably make like close to like 50 points. And then like producers maybe make like, this is just a estimate of like, I don't know. But basically, instead of using a percentage, they use points. So think of it like 100 points equals 100%.
Yeah.
If that makes
yeah.
sense. But that's where it's dangerous when you're co-writing or something. Like, just because you wrote it, you're not getting, like that major portion of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, it absolutely makes sense. It's insidious.
Yeah. And I didn't mean to go off on a tangent like that, but it just goes hand in hand with like ownership of your music in a way, if that makes sense.
Yes. Oh, I get what I think I get what you're saying, and from the things that I've read about and learned about as well, like the at least the old school record industry was, we have all of the venues, the connections, the mechanisms to make you famous or put you in front of crowds so that you can dance around and have fun and
be the artist,
try to be famous. And in the meantime, the record companies have locked the artist into a heaping mountain of debt that they will likely never recover from, and the contract itself, from I've heard over and over and over again, is essentially, give us the rights to everything that you've done, and we will do and say what we want to do with it, because we have to maximize our profits, because we're the ones with the venues and we're the ones that have the power, blah, 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 blah. And unfortunately, in the world of logic, there is no logic, because the music industry wouldn't exist were it not for the creative people making things that are sellable. So everything that you're saying makes total sense. Like, how can you shift is it the paradigm? How can you shift the paradigm in the artist's favor? And it sounds like you're saying, well, if you have full ownership of the material that you've created, you're off to a good start.
Yeah. And again, it's a trade-off. It's like, you and I know, like, it's hard to break through in the recording industry as an independent artist, because it's saturated, it's flooded with certain things. And like, streaming services are preventing people like breaking out into bigger markets and stuff. But it's also funny to see record labels trying to go after TikTok, because so many artists now are independent and owning their own master recordings, that they're making bank on TikTok. And Universal's like, hey, wait a second, we're not making enough money, and it's like, it's kind of nice watching two big conglomerates like TikTok and Universal going at each other, and us kind of being like, we're the ones creating stuff for people to come to. Like, artists are the ones that should be making the most money. Granted, you've made the platform, but like, without artists, you don't have a platform.
Yeah.
So it's kind of one of those, like, where's the balance in this? Right now it's all in the record label's favor, and it needs to come back down. And it's hopefully going to start doing that with artists getting smarter, like learning new ways of keeping all their rights and stuff.
I think artists, many more artists nowadays, are way more savvy than in the past, and technology and social media has just blown open the doors. I mean, you look back to 1999, when Napster came on the scene, and it essentially ripped the control over,
Yeah.
physical media out of the, corporate hands. There was nothing they could do. It was like, it was as if, two angry white whales just came up to their boat and smashed giant holes into it. Like there's nothing, they were done for.
Yeah.
And in the advent of social media and like digital recording with DAWs and stuff, absolutely, I think artists are well equipped and much better off now. And I think I imagine you're going to continue on is ways of, or the benefits and the positivity related to maintaining your control over your intellectual property,
Mm-hmm.
in order to have all of the leverage, in this situation.
Yeah. It is leverage. That's exactly what it is. So to continue on, we're going to go into like kind of how the publishing rights work. So this is the best way of thinking of it. The sound recording equals master rights. The composition equals publishing rights.
Okay.
So does that make like the writing part of it equals the publishing rights? The sound recording itself, the master file, is the master rights for it. But what you compose, like what you're like actually writing, the structure of the song, that's what constitutes publishing rights.
Okay, so that's separate from the
master
recording.
rights. Correct.
Okay.
So master rights equal recording rights, like what the master recording is. Composition, how you wrote the song, like what the notes are for the song and the melody, that equals the publishing rights.
Okay.
So with that being does that make sense, by the way, or did that?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's kind of confusing, but it's also like when you kind of think about it, it's like, all right, it's just the songwriting structure itself is what's the publishing side of it.
Yeah. So like my brain sees it as the physical audio recording without any like character to it. Doesn't matter what recording it is. The physical recording is separate from the ideas that were made to put on that recording.
Correct.
So all of the ideas that I came up with, my me or do that is on the recording. I own the do.
Yes.
But the physical evidence of my do is on the master.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. So with publishing rights, it pertains to the rights in a musical composition, including the lyrics and the music. The master, on the other hand, is the original sound recording. The key difference is that a single music composition, such as lyrics, can be featured in hundreds of different sound recordings, including covers and remixes. So thinking of it like the lyrical composition, like one of your songs, somebody's like, I love your lyrics, we're going to remix this, we're going to do a cover version of that. That's where the publishing rights come in, because they're redoing that. So you'll make some money off of that depending on what agreement you have with your record label, because they're technically going to own a portion of your publishing rights because you've signed with them, unless you've like signed a golden ticket deal of like keeping like 90% of your publishing, which would be pretty unheard of considering major labels probably would never give that.
Yeah. I would imagine that doesn't happen.
No. But is this still making sense? Or I don't want to like go like where it's not making sense. If it's not making sense to you.
My brain is following.
Okay, cool.
I'm on track. Let's go. Keep going.
So there are three main types of royalties that come from publishing rights. Okay. You have your performance royalties, which are royalties produced by live performance of a song, like festivals, concerts, radio play, or a public venue.
Okay, so question.
Sure.
I don't know if you have an answer. So if I go and perform the song live at a festival and profits are made from my performance, does that mean I get a royalty for my performance that I did that day?
Yes. I believe so.
Okay.
It's more for from what I'm understanding is like, you know how we always hear like venues are, they have to register with a pro perform a performance pro or whatever, like BMI, ASCAP, um what CSEC or whatever. They have to sign those in order for like bands to be able to perform cover songs and stuff, because those venues, if they don't, they'll get shut down. Do you remember 602 North up in North Avenue? They got shut
Yeah.
down because they didn't
Oh.
they didn't pay for that, and they were having cover bands perform.
Oh.
So they sued the hell out of them,
Oh.
and they shut down like immediately because they
Yeah.
weren't paying. But it was an expensive. It's expensive to have that, so that's why a lot of venues are like, you can't do covers.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure performance royalties also goes hand in hand with like original artists doing stuff, but I don't think it's as extensive as publishing, as in like remixes, covers, people performing your music in public type of thing.
Okay.
Because I think you're selling the concert ticket, so you're initially supposed to be making some money, but don't quote me on that.
Okay.
So you
I
asked a
won't.
good question. I just don't have the full detailed answer for you.
All right. Fair enough.
All right, so we got performance royalties. Next one is mechanical royalties. Royalties that come from manufacturing physical copies of a song, such as CDs, vinyl records, and digital streams and downloads. So that's mechanical royalties. They call that mechanical licensing as well. If you go into like sync licensing to um, like where you're going into, I'm sorry, that's not sync licensing. That's where you're going into stores, your CDs distributed into mass markets of stores and stuff like that, on shelves
Okay.
and things like that. And then the last one, I've read the wrong one, sync licensing royalties. So these are royalties that are generated when a song is broadcasted through audiovisual media, advertisements, films, video games, TV shows, etc. So those are the types of three publishing rights for composition that you would get revenue from. As far as publishing deals, because most of the time you're going to get with like a publisher. And the only reason I know this is because I had a few songs that got picked up by publishers, but they weren't huge publishers or anything, and I've seen very little money from it. I forgot what I was going to say now. Oh, they take a significant portion of money out of whatever sync agreement you get. So let's say a video game is looking for one of my songs, like the new ones I'm writing for Doula Graves. Like, we like that hard rock stuff. We want you to, and I submit it, but I have to submit it through a publisher. That publisher is going to say, hey, we have a sync license with you. They may give you like, you get to keep 50% of the royalties, but we get to keep the other 50%. So there's always like, it's again, you're trading off exposure for your royalties in a way.
I don't know. To me, that sounds like gouging.
I'm not disagreeing with you. That's the industry. That's the typical sync licensing, like contracts, so to speak. I'm not disagreeing with you. It's kind of ridiculous that they're that they take that much money up front. When we get into the Taylor Swift stuff, there's a story that I kind of want to tell you about, a little bit of a YouTube video I saw about a guy but that's got something to do a little bit with this type of situation. But
okay.
I agree, it's a lot, and you have to be willing to sign that much over if you want to get it in an advertisement. But those are the three types of publishing rights that you can have that's different than the master recordings. This is the composition publishing rights side of it. Does this all make sense, or is this like ridiculous?
I mean, it is ridiculous. Like, But yes, it's making sense.
Okay.
I Why do I say ridiculous? Because all of the complexity that these industries have, like, they're all roadblocks to artists and creative people to advance in the world, and it's this just skeevy freaking like price gouging slime of the world where, well, if you don't give us half,
Yeah.
well, you're not going to get in.
It is, isn't it? And it's not to go like onto Ticketmaster, but it's a similar situation with that, where it's like artists aren't even making money off of ticket sales. So
Yeah.
everything in the it drives me crazy because people don't understand that aren't really in the music stuff. Like artists don't make a lot of money, and the ones that you
Yeah.
see that have exposure, you know, it either they got lucky or they're signed to a contract, and half the music's not even theirs. It's people like us or people like our friends that are writing it, and
Yeah.
then they just get shafted with the master recording rights to it or the publishing rights to it. And it's like, this is why it's people are getting as in the art in the recording industry like us, like being like, this is bullshit.
Yeah. I
Nobody.
just saw a piece of an interview the other day where Chris Cornell was talking about, in the context of the conversation, he had stated, he said, it was like this happened, that happened, and you know that's the whole reason why this bloated industry ate itself alive. And I was like, well, it came from an insider, so
Yeah, but it's
I
it's true.
yeah,
And you and I
it,
always talk about this stuff too, just on our own time. Um,
yeah,
it it's such a cruddy system that needs to change. Like it's just not, and not
it
that
is.
it's again, it's like if you're gonna make it where people have to make money, I get it. In terms of like publishers or whatever, or record labels, like so I'm gonna go into the so we've kind of talked about this master recording. I'm gonna move into like the real quick the stories.
Yeah.
And I'll do the Taylor Swift one after this one. I
Okay.
just watched a YouTube video. I'm going to share it with you, I think, once we get off this, and you can watch a little bit of the interview. I can't remember his name. He did a podcast episode with another, a bigger podcast. I don't remember the artist's name, though. But he was kind of talking about his whole musical life in terms of like in the industry. And it was insane hearing, like, he got a record deal. He signed in for, they gave him like a $1 million advance, which sounds like a lot of money. By the time he was done and he had to pay it back, the record label ballooned it to like, because they charge interest on that stuff. They have to make money on that stuff. It was insane how much extra money he paid. And he was like, in his contract, he finally looked at it and he was realizing he wasn't making any money. All of it was just getting paid back to the record label. And he's
Mm-hmm.
sitting here doing like 200 shows in a year, and he's like filling up 10,000 seat places. He's like, how do I not have anything, and I'm the one that's like doing all the work?
Sure.
So he kind of talked about some of this stuff in that podcast, and it was fascinating to hear like how he's like, I don't give up any of my stuff anymore. Like I am fully in control of whatever. um I'll share that interview with you because I think it's really cool to watch. Like, not cool, but just interesting to watch what he
Yeah.
says. Um, but he talks a lot about this stuff that we're talking about, like owning master recordings and how he co-writes and songwrites and
Yeah.
how the point system of the whole situation and stuff. It's crazy, and we're the ones
It's
making them like them the money.
Well, it's not the artist really.
Right.
I just like your your to your point on points. I was watching I was watching a video. It was an interview with Steve Albini. Rest in peace, Steve.
Rest in
Um,
peace.
that was a big loss for the
Yeah.
music community. Um, but he was interviewing and having a discussion with with Chris Novoselic and Dave Grohl, and in that conversation about the agreement that Steve Albini, or the conditions that Steve Albini gave Nirvana, because Nirvana wanted him to record in utero. And long story short, part of Steve's conditions was he's like, I don't want any points, because he felt it was ridiculous. What? So for the rest of your life, you're
Yeah.
going to have to pay me a percentage of money just because you have to? And even he, in a mover and shaker in the industry, is disgusted, and was disgusted, and like, could he have made millions and millions of dollars off of Nirvana? Sure, but he was like, that's skeevy.
Yeah.
Like,
The other side to that too is they didn't keep his master. They said they like remastered it, and he said it changed the sound, and he wasn't necessarily upset, but he was kind of frustrated that they didn't include him with that whole that whole situation. So then, what was it, like 2012, 2011, they remastered it with his remasters, and they put it out.
oh, did they?
Yeah. But he originally recorded it all and mixed it and everything. But then when he did the master, they weren't happy with it. I don't know if that's like,
Yeah,
but he said that they didn't use his master, and it was frustrating to him.
I imagine.
Yeah. So the next thing I wanted to touch on real quick, and then we could wrap it up. The Taylor Swift master saga. I don't know if you remember the whole Scooter Braun thing that happened with her.
Yeah, wasn't there some guy named Scooter Braun?
Yes.
Or Brown or Brune or Scooty?
So
Scoots.
yes, and this is the reason why Taylor Swift is re-recording and redistributing all of her music from the past albums that she had. So why doesn't Taylor Swift own her own music? When we go on Spotify, you'll see Taylor's version or whatever. When she was 15 years old, she signed her first record deal with the label Big Machine in 2004. And she gave the rights for her first 6 albums in exchange for a cash advance, like we talked about.
Okay.
These deals are a common occurrence in the music industry. She has since come out and said that she had tried to buy her masters for years, but was not given a chance unless she signed another contract that would require her to create 6 more albums under the label in exchange for the masters of her first 6, which she was like, this is unacceptable. So this is why she's
No.
re-recording all of her previous albums, so that she retains the master's rights, which I find it pretty goddamn clever.
Absolutely. Good. More power to her.
Yeah, and there's like so many people that like bash her and stuff, and I'm like, dude, she's doing the exact thing she should be doing.
Yeah.
Like-
It's that kind of bullshit in that old contract and this Scooter Madooty guy.
Oh.
Like, you know what? You're just a sack of shit that's looking to just, it's power. It's all it is.
Absolutely.
It's money and power. And look at me. I control it. You know what? Go sell vacuums.
There's a lot to digest with exactly that.
Yeah. I'm not angry at that at all.
No.
None.
No. And honestly, like, young artists really need to understand that. Like, they're the ones that are getting preyed on the most because
Yeah.
they're fresh, they're new, they're easily influenced, and there's nothing wrong with being young and being a great songwriter. But it's like, heed people's warnings that are in the industry for a while and are trying to tell you, like, don't sign away. A record deal isn't always what you think it is.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's part of what we're trying to do in case there's people out there who don't know about this yet. Um, Educating yourself, know your enemy, know your adversary. Like, be smart. All you creatives out there, anybody, if you are creatives, they're listening. Anybody, like, educate yourself, investigate, ask questions. Challenge the authorities. Um, Prince had it right.
Hmm.
If you don't own your masters, then your master owns you. So now that we know that, thanks to the history that we have, be smart, everybody.
Hmm.
So as awful as the industry seems to have been, um, I personally see things changing. This idea of there's no way to break in, you don't have enough money to become successful, artists and musicians can't sustain themselves as a career, and so on and so forth. It's too expensive, and the industry itself is just crushing the very commodity that they're trying to sell. And I see change a coming, because if anybody's been paying attention to the Ticketmaster Live Nation situation, I imagine a large quotient of this equation here is the fact that no one can break out or get in until they enter through the gatekeeper that is Ticketmaster or Live
Yep.
Nation. So I asked myself, okay, I'm kind of a nobody. I'm an up and comer myself. Where do I go to play a show if I want to play a show? Well, in the bigger professional sphere, that is, not where I'm at. um, who's the biggest problem? Well, it's Ticketmaster and Live Nation, because they're strong arming and threatening and preventing all these little venues that want to do it their own way. They're threatening them to do it Ticketmaster's way. So I see in the future, when legislation happens and this monopoly gets chopped up and things become they stir the pot, smaller venues and other avenues for smaller artists and performers and stuff to get through, I think those openings will start to happen. Honestly, like, how the conditions of the environment are as such. Well, the conditions I think are going to change. I
Hmm.
think there's big shakeup on the horizon, and all right, so I don't know anyone. I can't get in anywhere, and I don't know of a means by with which to find a performance venue, because I got to do this and I got to do that. I got to have a manager and I got to have connections. I got to have this, blah blah blah, and then ultimately, well, this is what it's going to cost me to work through Ticketmaster, because the local venues are all being, like, what does the mafioso do? They come in and they extort.
Gobble it up. Yeah.
I think the mafia is going to lose its control, and there's going to be a reconfiguration of how things are done. Obviously, the music mafia, is going to try and find its ways to get back in and figure out how to squeeze the juice again. But things are going to change, man, and I think the key to all of this is for artists and creatives to educate yourself, know what's really going on, find out, ask questions, and ultimately, don't sell any of your intellectual material
Yeah.
unless it's what you want, unless it's reasonable to you, because you consider these. I remember reading that you consider these kinds of contracts that record companies give these musicians, and they say, we'll give you $250,000. Look, you get $250,000 right off the bat, and we're going to send you to these places and this places and this place and this place, and you're going to tour for 5 months. And ultimately, the band, like you said, has to pay back that $250,000 at some point. And while you are on tour, let's take one show for example. I think you had sent to me this guy. It was a short little reel, and he was talking about how once he figured out what his Live Nation contract was all about, he realized this is nuts. And he was explaining that, let's say he's like, for one of the shows, it was like his band only makes money on a certain percentage of ticket sales, while the venue and let's say Ticketmaster also owns the venue. So what happens is Ticketmaster gets the largest percentage of the ticket sales, and they get all of the sales from concessions, parking, and the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
And then your expenses as a band are also taken out of the profits from that show. So whatever's left over is typically for the band. Well, you also have to pay back that $250,000. And he even said too, like this sly and deviousness of the Live Nation is they'll have those, what are they, like blowout sales? So they'll put the tickets on sale to where instead of it being $100 per ticket, they drop it down to like $25 or $20.
So it makes it even harder for the artist to pay it back.
Right. So here we got this tour, the record company and the ticket companies have made millions of dollars, sometimes each show. And you, the artist, at the end of it, are left with what, maybe $8,000, $10,000. But then you still have to pay tax on that $10,000, and you have to pay for your own needs, clothes, food, the whole 9 yards. Point being is, while you think, let's say you sign this contract and you're getting all this great money and you're out there and you got all this exposure, blah, blah, blah. They've made millions of dollars off of you and you're still in the hole.
Mm-hmm.
So why not just keep the rights and the power to all of your intellectual property and still make no money?
Seriously. If it's recognition people want,
Yeah.
I get the mindset of building connections and you're trading off, but not for that much. That's insane.
Listen, I believe so much of that garbage is fear mongering.
Yeah.
And it's the machine just trying to tamp you down. Well, you're never going to make it. You're never going to, because no, you need to know me. You need to go through me. You need to pay me. You know what? It doesn't work that way anymore. Like, so there's so much evidence out there that the record companies and the industry itself is freaked out and is losing control left and right. I believe that's part and parcel why. What's the the record company that basically, you just mentioned it, they
Universal
got mad at TikTok. Universal, like record companies like that, basically jumped into bed with Spotify because they knew they weren't going to have control, and they needed to strike a deal now so that they can get their share of what's going to come out of Spotify and the streaming monies.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. Know your enemy. Be smart, everyone. Educate yourself. Don't listen to just us. Or don't listen to us. Go investigate for yourself. Read. Listen. Ask questions. And you're going to be so much better off than any musician ever was in the past.
Seriously. Yeah, that's all I have about this topic
All right.
for now. Do you have anything
Well,
else you
I
want
think
to add?
no, I think there's a lot of food for thought, and it's probably, I mean, you know me, you give me a platform to flap my gums, and I'm going to talk about lots of stuff, and you'll be like, Jesus,
Dude,
turn his microphone off.
no. It's valid, and everything you said is accurate. I think a lot of
I
people are
appreciate
feeling that.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, we're gonna end it there then.
Okay.
All right. Well, we'll see you at the next episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, or don't like. I don't know, but
Yeah. What is it?
subscribe.
Ding the bell and
Ding the bell.
click the flip and shake your phone, or I don't know, how does it?
That'd be interesting
God,
if
I
you
sound
shake your
old.
phone and it would get. Oh, I should not do that movement that I just did. That was not a good movement. All right, we're definitely getting off on this one. Okay. Have a good
All right,
one.
kiddo. See you later.